So what I want you to do is be able to have 5 myths at the top of your fingers that you are ready to bring out at any time to myth bust. People think it's this, but it's actually XYZ.
Welcome back to High Impact Sales. Sinclair and Natalie Jill here. And today we are going to dive into high level messaging, because messaging, no matter how successful you are right now, this is something that could always use some finesse, some tweaking, some fine tuning, some up leveling, because everything is in the messaging. When you've got the right messaging, you're going to attract the right customers. You're going to attract the right level of clients. You're going to attract those higher dollar conversions. All of it matters. So messaging is everything. And who better to talk about that today than Sinclair, because she is a full expert on here. So Sinclair, let's talk messaging. Like, what is your approach here? How did you get so good and dialed in at this?
Honestly, my obsession was telling stories and healing people from a very young age. So I was actually a theater director. That's what I went to school for originally. I had my own little theater company in downtown New York, and it was very funny looking back on it now. But I became obsessed with how can you help the audience to understand and unpack an idea very quickly with you? And how do you track and make sure that an audience is experiencing what you want them to feel? And so I think that what happens in online business, like in the expert world, people are still building the skill set of like, how can I tell if what I'm doing resonates? And they don't have that feel for it yet. So my tools are all about helping people to dial in a deeply resonant messaging where they're really getting to the core of what they want to offer the world. And it lands in a way that people can hear it, and there's specific toolkit that really works for that, no matter the format that you're in. And that's what I tend to focus on with people.
So help us with that toolkit. Like, how do we even start? And I know there's a lot of steps here and we're just going to be scratching the surface some, but what are people doing wrong? And where do you want them to be starting?
What I want people to do is like go way beyond your expert title, right? And like what it is that you say that you do. Yes, of course you have to nail that, but that's beginner stuff, guys. Let's move on. You've already learned how to do that. You might need to update it with Natalie or me, but to be frank, but let's go to stuff that you haven't covered before, because what people want to see is you in action. They don't want to see you talking around a topic or around a problem where it's like, well, the thing about hormones is like, that is not going to cut it in today's day and age. What they want to feel is you delivering value right now. So sometimes I start with a little bit of tough love and I say, look, I know that you're passionate, but guess what? Being charming and charismatic and heartfelt is not enough. It's not. I mean, it might get somebody's attention, but it's not going to hold their attention. You don't become a guide with just that.
I'm a huge fan of disruptions. How do you feel about that?
I think it's really important. That's why, we have to see you in action. I love to have people myth bust. If you don't have the capacity to myth bust in your field of expertise, then you're not an expert yet.
Oh, so good. Okay. Define myth busting, because I think some people are still being a little too nice in that area.
Okay. So, for example, there are often truisms that we accept in any field of expertise, right? Whether it's marketing, where you and I are disruptors for bro marketing. We're also disruptors of like the goddess, just feel it and it will come, reaction to the bro marketing, right? Sorry, guys, I said it. And we have to actually like dig deep and say, okay, what are people accepting as true that is not actually serving them and it doesn't help them get to the point, especially if other experts in your field are holding that up as a truism. Like, yeah, you have to just put out like endless amounts of content. And that's how you finally get to the sales, is marketing, marketing, marketing. And you and I are both like, bullshit,
Yeah.
So, that's an example of a truism that you and I like myth bust all the time, and it's the reason for this show in many ways. So what I want you to do is be able to have 5 myths at the top of your fingers that you are ready to bring out at any time to myth bust. People think it's this, but it's actually XYZ. People think with parenting toddlers, you have to, have these harsh rules of blah, blah, but actually, or give in to them and, create. Yeah. But it's actually, if you work with them and you create these agreements ahead of time, yada, yada, whatever your version is, right? So you can actually assert your expert status, showing you in action. That's what people want. They also want snackable data bites. We're in the day and age of dopamine hits. Be ready to have them at your fingertips. Someone was pushing back at me yesterday. I was teaching, a bunch of really high level entrepreneurs in a closed door situation about actually this very topic. She's like, no, I don't think you need to do this way. And I threw a bunch of statistics at her. I was like, actually, this is what tells me that you do.
Right.
And everybody went, oh, and the whole room shifted, and I got more buy-in. And you need to be able to have those snackable data bites. I have a 5-page document that I update and review every week just for 10 minutes.
Wow.
With my snackable data bites, with my surprising statistics. Did you know that a sign of diabetes is mold in the toilet? Like, what?
Right. That's very disruptive. That's good. Yeah.
So, and then micro stories. You need to be able to tell quick stories about your clients, your students, your patients that show you in action. Like, so-and-so came in, he dropped out of college because he was so tired. He couldn't finish his work. He moved back home. He felt like a failure. I got him back up and running back in college by the next semester. And nobody told him it was possible except for me, that kind of thing. Or, somebody that sounds unfixable and you got right to the heart of the issue, right, and you solved it for them in business and health, whatever your field of expertise is. You need those micro stories because that's what is memorable for people. It creates a felt sensation. You want to be able to paint a picture. A mom with 2 young kids, yada, yada. This is what happened. She was struggling to pay her bills. I helped her. Now she's retired her husband. Like, that's a picture. Right? We think about stories in terms of pictures that our brain remembers attached to emotion. That's a micro story. If you can't do that, you're getting too bogged down in the weeds. So you need to work on that skill set.
Oh, that's a huge one right there, because that's a constant that we are not seeing in messaging.
Yes, exactly. So everybody's very focused on themselves in messaging still. And I hate to put it to you, but that is no longer enough, right? What we need to do in this day and age is apply our expertise right in real time with the people listening in, right? They need to see you in action right now. They're hurting, they're tired, they're overwhelmed. They have a shorter attention span than ever. So win them over right now with this toolkit. And the last one I'll say is my trend casting is the term that I coined to help people break out of the pack, right? So trend casting is when you zoom all the way out and you look at the entire landscape of your field and you say, here's where we're headed in the landscape of this field, in our era, in this time, because that just put you at the head of everybody. That just had you coining for a generation what your field of expertise is and the problem that you solve, because you are able to think that big. Think about Gabor Mate and the way he's talking about trauma right now. He's talking about our generation in this time. That's what he's doing. He's trend casting. And he's using snackable data bites, surprising statistics, micro stories, myth busting all the way along the way. But that is how he has captured the heart.
So do you have to say, like, in the future, this is what I'm predicting, or do you just speak as if it's right now? I say we're living in a day and age right now where people don't understand why they're so sick. And things that used to work even 5 years ago no longer work. And practitioners are freaking out because to help you. So it's not so far in the future, but it's enough that it makes sense that you are telling what's actually, you sound more forward, you sound more advanced. Yes. And you're highlighting what you actually do.
Yeah, you're calling out what's happening right now in your field in terms of the scope of an era and where we're headed next, and that's how you become the next Gabor Mate.
I love that.